Now, I will be very honest, I'm really not all that surprised when it comes to how Disney has been treating things out there like Star Wars, and specifically everything Lucasfilm, and given that we've gotten so many promises by Disney, such as movie announcements and movie release dates, and those getting shifted around constantly, dropping creators left and right, that was all really a Kathleen Kennedy problem, let's be honest, where she was really unleashed. Disney got very tired of that. They had to find a way to tame this, but now it's as if Bob Iger is causing more trouble than good. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on here with Star Wars Ahsoka. Now, you guys may recall that just yesterday, we finally got the final trailer of the Ahsoka Tano series, which, by the way, guys, I would love to hear your opinion on what you thought about that actual trailer below. And given that Disney really is putting all bets on Ahsoka as a make-or-break situation for the Star Wars franchise, there's also a lot of things going on behind closed doors that really is stirring things up and causing a lot of drama for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that really shows a lack of confidence in the show, or a lack of confidence for the future of the franchise and where it's really heading. So, we know that Bob Iger has been making a lot of bad calls, especially with Indiana Jones 5, and with many things Marvel, right? And that's exactly why the board just needs to get rid of him. They need to actually just get a new CEO that knows how to run the business end and even has some kind of sense, at least, with the creative end. Hiring the right people, getting the right people on board there for everything Star Wars, Marvel, and more. However, on top of this, with Disney and Lucasfilm now completely relying on the Ahsoka series by Favreau and Filoni to turn Star Wars around, one bad thing for the Ahsoka show, however, brews from another major development based on what Iger and the board recently decided to do with Ahsoka as part of their emergency meeting that took place a couple of days ago. Now, one big part of this has to do with the fact that Bob Iger recently called off the development for the second season of Star Wars Ahsoka off the roadmap of the Star Wars franchise for its long list of Star Wars shows and more. The original plan was to turn Ahsoka into the main flagship series for the franchise instead of The Mandalorian, and now that is being turned around completely as a last-minute decision between Iger and the board. This is described to be based on several factors such as budgeting constraints and even studying fan interest levels related to the Star Wars brand itself. The board is now looking into the idea instead of focusing strictly on Ahsoka spin-offs and leaving the Ahsoka series as one season only instead of a multi-season show. So guys, let me say one thing here real quick, is that when you look at a show like Star Wars Ahsoka and how they had this big plan of theirs to make this the new flagship series, to really make it the new main show instead of The Mandalorian, coming out of The Mandalorian Season 3 backlash and everything happening with that. You know, that caused a lot of trouble. And so that's what really led them to believe that let's focus on Ahsoka being the main show. Let's give it all to Jon and Dave to run a new flagship series, and that is not working out any longer at all now because of what's been going on with Indiana Jones 5, the Dial of Destiny, and how it's creating a ripple effect over at Lucasfilm, and how they want to create all these budgeting constraints, and how Ahsoka, by the way, since Ahsoka Season 2, we talked about this months ago, there was a plan for the budget to be quite higher per episode in comparison to Season 1, and I think that's exactly why they are moving forward with this overall plan of canceling out Season 2 and just strictly treating Ahsoka as a limited series as the original intention far back, like we're talking about like a year ago. Now, the thing about this too is that Bob Iger is only digging himself a bigger hole. You know, I think that Ahsoka has some potential, you know, given that a lot of fans remain very skeptical. It all really relies on how many fans are going to tune into this series. You know, we know a lot of fans right now are very jaded and very much, you know, not interested in what Disney is doing lately. So it's going to take a lot of convincing for the show to really drag in the right viewership. And I think also that's why they are treating this way by canceling out season 2 for now and really just not treating it as the main flagship show anymore of that plan. Because that's why they gave Dave Filoni his movie. They want to make Ahsoka the main show on Disney+. Now, additionally, they are also going to be reducing the amount of cameo appearances for Rosario Dawson, and of course as the character of Ahsoka, as she has been requesting a higher than normal pay grade for an upcoming untitled Star Wars show and more that have not been announced yet that is causing more drama behind the scenes. Bob Iger and the board approved this entire decision to not move forward with Ahsoka Season 2 as a part of their plan to not rush into things too early, and that they did end up lowering the amount invested into their marketing strategy for this season, which is why, of course, the trailer was so delayed until just yesterday. This is, however, causing more issues for John and Dave, who want Ahsoka to be the main show on Disney Plus instead of The Mandalorian, since it focuses on George's mythology and philosophy of Star Wars and more. Now, here's the other problem, is that, yes, we know that Ahsoka looks like a more expensive show than The Mandalorian. It has a lot more going for it, and so they had to up the ante with Season 2. That was a big plan of theirs months ago. And that basically got sabotaged by Bob Iger. Bob Iger really seems to be on the fence to the point where he doesn't really have a clue of what he's doing. You know, when you're in a phase of really much like, you know, on the line about where your career is going and what his legacy is going to be about, you're going to make really bad calls when your mind is not thinking correctly. So for him to really do this is interesting because they had all full faith in Ahsoka, and that's why they were, you know, greenlighting Season 2 and really creating it into a multi-season series instead of it just strictly being a limited show. They wanted to actually push that forward and make it the main show, much like The Mandalorian, and they want to actually treat it as like an extension of Star Wars Rebels. That's basically the idea here. And so that's where you find yourselves into a bigger problem, you know? This kind of gives fans a lot of issues, essentially, with Disney. If you think about it, what's going on right now over at Disney, I think this really kind of gives you a better idea of where things are heading. Is that they don't want to invest too much money into these shows that a lot of fans seem to be driving away from or checking in less to, and not subscribing to Disney Plus as much. I don't know about you guys, I would love to hear your status on Disney Plus. Are you subbed? Are you not subbed? Do you watch a show and then unsubscribe and then subscribe again later? Which, by the way, Disney hates that. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on with all things Ahsoka right now, and it looks like that is being axed as becoming the new main flagship series. And I wonder why specifically, because it's quite obvious. It has much to do with Indiana Jones 5 costing Lucasfilm hundreds of millions of dollars. It's quite catastrophic. So anyways, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.